This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock, so I will call the meeting to order. Land acknowledgement today. Is somebody on deck, or is it my?
It's your turn, Mayor Woodburn.
I'm on deck. Okay, so that makes it easy. As we gather, we recognize and acknowledge the traditional keepers of this land with whom we share today. The Township of Southgate is part of the traditional territories of the Anishinaabeg, Six Nations of the Grand River, Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, Haudenosaunee, and Saugeen Métis. The land that surrounds us is part of who we are as it reflects our histories. May we live in peace and friendship with all its diverse people. Was there anyone registered for open forum?
No, Mayor Woodbury, no one registered for today.
Okay. Then we have a motion moved by Martin, seconded by Jason, and that's to confirm the agenda. Any discussion? Is anyone opposed? Okay, so we're on a run here. That's one in a row. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Oh, Brian has something.
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I have pecuniary interest with the report number PL 2022-065 and bylaw 2022-133 relating to the Wilder Lake development. The reason for the declaration is the developer is a family member, so I will not be participating in that report or that vote.
Okay, thank you. And if anyone else has any, you can declare now or at any time, and the paperwork goes into Lindsay. And I will be declaring one about the medical building. That's item 9.4.11, as I'm on the board of directors for the Southeast Grey Community Health Center. So I'll send papers to Lindsay today. Okay, not seeing any others. Delegations, that we don't have any, so we can move on to adoption of the minutes. Moved by Jim, seconded by Michael, and that would be the minutes of August 18th and the 24th. Any discussion on those? Okay, not seeing any. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Next, we have motion moved by Jason, seconded by Martin, and that's noise bylaw exception. And that's coming up real soon. Bev, did you want to add anything to this?
Good morning. Yes, I just add this is the second year for the Agriculture Society to run this event. It was ran last year, it was quite successful, and we had no concerns or problems arising from it.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, anytime we can help out any of these organizations that do so much for our community, I think is important. Any questions or comments? Okay, call the question then. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Well, thanks for that long explanation, Bev. And we'll carry on with the meeting.
Thank you.
Next, Lindsay's report on the Dundalk Oktoberfest, moved by Jim, seconded by Brian. Anything you wanted to add to this, Lindsay?
Through you, Mayor Woodbury, not a whole lot. It's all pretty much in the report there. This is the first event for the Dundalk Oktoberfest. They hope to make it an annual event. A lot of planning underway so far, and since it's a public event and they are not a charitable organization or a not-for-profit, they do require a resolution of the local municipality to deem it of municipal significance. So that is a requirement of theirs. And I think most of the other information is in the report. I'll take any questions.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see if there are any. Any questions or comments? Brian?
Thank you, sir. Lindsay, I'm certainly very supportive of the event, Oktoberfest. I'm a big fan of Oktoberfest. But the question or the point made, as you just reiterated there, they're not using any public land. They're using the Ag Society property and so on. What about parking? Do they intend to use perhaps the arena parking lot for parking, or what's their plan there? I'm just thinking I don't want a conflict with maybe an event going on at the arena. I don't know if there's anything going on, but
I'm honestly not sure, Deputy Mayor Milne. I can send an email or talk to Kevin about it following the meeting, but I assume they would have hoped to use at least part of the arena parking lot, and possibly, if it doesn't get too wet, around the track. I know people park around the track too as well,
sure.
or at least by the ball diamond there. So I assume that's what their plan is, but I can't confirm that. But I can see if Kevin's aware or if he's been spoken to about it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great, and look forward to the event. Thank you.
Great. Any other? Okay, not seeing any. I'll call a question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. It's really good to see these various events coming on board new, as well as the ones that are coming back. Next, we have the motion moved by Barbara, seconded by Michael, and that's the appointment of the Grey County Joint Compliance Audit Committee. Tell us the story, Lindsay.
This one, through you, Mayor Woodbury, this one's pretty straightforward. I brought this back in, I believe it was the last meeting in May, to establish the committee, and then the clerks of Grey County have worked together to advertise for this, and a lot of the, or a few of the people that we appointed were on the committee for the previous term, so that's good to have their expertise. So a selection committee it was the deputy clerk of Owen Sound and the clerks of Meaford and the town of Blue Mountains that formed the selection committee and came up with these 4 people that were interested, and now we each have to appoint them by bylaw, and then they will sit for the next term of council as the compliance audit committee.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly no issue with the report or the recommendation. I just note the rate of compensation for anyone interested. You might take note of that compared to what council has proposed for their own compensation. So anyway, just noted that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Is anyone opposed to the motion? And that would be carried. And in case I think I said it, but in case I hadn't, that was moved by Jason and seconded by Martin. Next, 9.3.1, moved by Michael, seconded by Barbara, and that's the hydrovac and CCTV services. Oh, go ahead, Lindsay.
Just the appointment bylaw for the audit committee first, 9.2.3.
Okay, that's where I got messed up. That's the one that's moved by Jason and Martin. So, okay, we'll see if there's any comments on the bylaw. I don't see any. So, you know what? I'm going to let you do the vote on this.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-130 to appoint the Grey County Compliance Audit Committee. Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Dobreen?
In favor?
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Councillor Crew?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
I vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, like I was saying, we have a motion moved by Michael and seconded by Barbara, and that's for the hydrovac services. Jim, or if you're there, good morning. Anything you want to add to this?
Morning, good people. No, nothing to add at this point.
Okay. Well, then let's see if council has any questions or any comments. Okay, that looks like that guy. Oh, Martin has one.
Good morning, Jim. Looking at the comments, you said there were 2 submissions for the hydrovac excavator. There's only the one showing. Was the other estimate very close, or you usually have everyone put on there so we could see the different rates? I was just wondering what was going on there, or am I reading it wrong?
It's there because I
I'll
read
have
it.
to pull it up here. Okay.
On the attachment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on attachment 2, it looks like.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That one
I've
is,
shared my screen, Councillor Shipston.
Yeah.
So it's in a table there.
yeah,
CT
okay, that's what I'm
horizontal.
looking at.
It's-
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just that it said there were 2 submissions for the hydrovac.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Next, moved by Brian, seconded by Jim. Thanks, Jim. Is Southgate Meadows Incorporated Flato West Subdivision final report. Dave, did you want to add anything to this?
Sorry, my mouse is acting up. No, I'll just take questions on that issue.
Okay. Let's see if there are any. Any questions, comments? Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note on the report that there are some lagging issues that need to be addressed. Will we actually sign off on final acceptance before those are remedied, or do we wait until those issues are remedied by the developer?
So through the chair, the issues are minor in nature according to our engineers, and they are not sufficient to hold back final acceptance. The inspector on site continues to work with the developer to get those completed, and we would, the recommendation is to proceed with the warranty period or the final acceptance and going into this final step.
That was me on mute. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, John. I agree that they're minor in nature. However, they are still outstanding and issues that need to be remedied. What leverage do we have once we've signed off on final acceptance?
Well, the warranty period.
But they're not a
still
warranty
have to-
issue. These are issues
Well,
that need to be remedied, and then we'll
Anyway.
see whether the, stand up for the warranty.
So this is the recommendation of our engineers. Again, they're minor in nature. They're not sufficient to hold back final acceptance. We can, if council wishes, but because of the number of meetings we have left, we want to get this addressed and in place. There still is a warranty period that these issues have to be addressed, and we'll deal with that through the inspection.
I figured. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you, but I will state once more that I'm not satisfied that we have any leverage on the developer if those issues are not fixed. So I guess I'll leave it there and hope that the warranty, I hate to say that, just to say, well, I hope they're going to fix it, because then I don't know whether we have any leverage or not. Do we? It sounds like we don't. And that concerns me. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, Martin, then Barbara.
Yeah, I kind of, Brian kind of beat me to the punch. On page 1 of 1 in that letter to you, Dave, it does say deficiencies with sanitary and storm sewers. I was just wondering myself, you did answer that they were small and minor in nature, but what is that? What is that? What are the deficiencies? Like, the infrastructure is a big project, so.
So the some of the deficiencies are listed in the letter attached. There's repainting of hydrants, pedestrian barricades, adjacent Elm Street that have to be addressed, top seed and along Elm Street. And then there's trees that have been planted and need to be replanted. So it's kind of warranty stuff, let's call it that. And then there's some CCTV stuff. But again, we're in the warranty period and they have to make it work during the warranty period. We can extend the warranty period if these things are not addressed. Meanwhile, we have securities as well.
Okay, Barbara.
Oh yeah, there's the letter. Sorry.
So I too had the same questions of, and I was informed that, no, it's not on the property owner. That was one of my questions. But my one other question that kind of relates to this is the clock is ticking already on our warranty period, and we haven't even approved the acceptance. Because in the letter it says that the warranty period began on some of these August 12th, I believe. So we're already a month in to the warranty period. There are still deficiencies, and I don't know where it says that the warranty period can be extended.
Okay,
To me, a warranty is you accept something in good working order, and that's when the warranty period begins. Not the warranty period is the time frame for them to repair or resolve any deficiencies.
So if there was something significant, this isn't like a warranty on buying a TV. This is a warranty that they have to stand behind what they put in the ground and fix it during the warranty period. If there was something grossly in error, that warranty period would be extended through our engineers. But again, the engineers, I think, certification that they're confident that, there's the things that are outstanding are on their way to being repaired or rectified or replaced in some cases. And anyway, it's their recommendation.
Okay, Jason.
Yeah, I guess I agree with everybody else. I'm not really comfortable passing this until they do what they're going to say. I know they have in the past and they've been good, but what's the sense of having a deadline? And then if they don't and we have to extend the warranty period, then everybody's going to have to go through this again? I don't know. I'm just not comfortable. I agree with Brian, Barb, and Brian, but just an opinion.
Okay. Any other comments? Michael?
Yeah, if we just hold out and not approve this until everything is signed that by the engineer that it's good. That way we have them. They're going to get the work done quicker.
I guess all I would do in respond to many of those comments is, we have an engineer that's give us a recommendation, and do we follow that or not? I guess.
Okay. Brian?
Thank you, John. Dave, you made the comment earlier there that because of the timing, you're concerned, and I'm sure the developer's concerned as well, that if we don't do this now, it's going to have implications down the road in terms of timing regarding, lame duck election and all the rest of it. Can you expand on that just a little bit there? I wasn't entirely clear on why that was an issue.
Well, we have 2 meetings left to clean up some of this stuff. Otherwise, it has to roll over into December, January of 2023.
And I guess the question then is, why is that a concern?
Well, I mean, the developer wants to get on and finish this project, and I guess this is a standard process of when they requested the final acceptance, when the engineers reviewed it, and they wrote the report accordingly. So I guess we have to decide whether we're going to go against that recommendation. And I mean, we could bring Ray Kurtz to the next meeting and explain those things. But I think, in fairness to the developer, they've got a lot of dollars invested and they want to turn this thing over and get on with their next project. So again, this is a standard that we're following the lead of Triton on what is usually done in relation to final acceptance, warranty periods, and what is accepted, not accepted.
Yep, you got another thought there, Brian. I can tell, and then Martin.
And this, my concern is not necessarily with the engineering report or the recommendation. I get it, they're minor in nature, but they're outstanding. And it just strikes me that if the developer wanted a clean report, they would have had these things fixed before they came and asked for final acceptance. I'm just a little uncomfortable doing that because I'm still not clear what leverage we have if they're not repaired in a timely manner. Because these homes, as I understand where the deficiencies are occupied, right?
Correct.
So there needs to be some remedial work done. The homeowners are not likely going to be happy if their front yards tore up again. So
this is
I'm not suggesting I have any concern with the developer that they will actually do the work, but I'm not working for the developer. I'm working for the township here. So help me.
Remember we still have securities to back this up during the warranty period when there's deficiencies. So that's our leverage. This is strictly to do with the on-site work that's required either in the boulevard or on the road allowance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Martin, you had something else?
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, looking at the letter with the different issues to be done, the first set with the hydrants and the trees, that's pretty well cosmetic. With the storm debris noted in some of the drains, that would be more important. And as Dave said, if there's the money there to back that up in the warranties and all the money that's been posted, I think that would be a form of leverage. But they are cosmetic at best, so just an opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Jason?
I'm with Brian still. I don't I don't understand. Like Brian said, we're not working for the developer. They knew what had to be done. If they haven't got it done, then why would you sign it? If it does get put off, then the engineers are going to get more time involved in it and everything. If he doesn't complete it, but I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with it either. Like where I come from, you sign a deal when it's done. It's done. Not maybe we'll do this. And I'm not saying he's not gonna, but it's just uncomfortable to me.
Okay. Barbara?
Would it be worthy or would it be possible to have a commitment letter of assurance that these deficiencies are being addressed? I still have a concern that the warranty period started on August 12th. It doesn't matter. the warranty period is running out as we speak.
So I guess my response to that is the items that are deficient are listed in the letter from Crozier, which is Flatto's engineer. So I think that's a letter indicating the information is there, that what is deficient. They have requested the August 12th on behalf of Flatto, and our engineer has reviewed this. I think at this point, we should maybe, if you want to table this till the next meeting, that's fine. But I think it's important that we need to get, our heads wrapped around this type of final acceptance in the future, and we'll invite Ray Kurtz to come and be part of the presentation for this final acceptance to, explain exactly how this works, because there's going to be these things in the future. And warranty periods are to clean up those kind of loose ends and making sure everything works. They've been happy during preliminary acceptance, which we've done in the past for this project. Now we're at the final acceptance stage, which is kind of getting down to coming around the last turn in a race and finishing off. So I think it would be best if we get Ray to explain this process more clearly, and then we can better understand it to make this decision.
Okay, Barbara?
So I did read the attachments and the Crozier list. What set my concerns off aren't, minor, but their terminology being major pipe deformations, ponding and debris, ponding noted on service, significant ponding, deformation of the pipe. Those kind of expresses concern to me, and are not, and I would support deferring this until the next meeting so that Ray can come and give us some assurances that they are minor in nature and they are being addressed. And I would want the warranty period, extended, or to start from the time that we actually create acceptance. That is my thought.
Okay. Michael?
Yeah, I would second Barb's motion to table this, and let's get some more information before we sign off on this. That's for sure.
Okay. So, Barbara?
Just to clarify, I'm proposing that we defer this to the next meeting with the invitation to Ray to come to the meeting. Tabling, the terminology I was a little sensitive about.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So we have a motion to defer. Is there any discussion on that, Brian?
Sorry, no, if Michael wasn't comfortable seconding that, I would do it, but if Mike's already seconded, that's fine.
Okay. Yep, that's fine. Okay. Don't see any further discussion on that to table. For my 2 cents worth, I think the key part with all of this is that we have the money that's the developer's money in the background, and that's our stick to get things done. That's one of the key points to me. Martin?
Well, just a comment from what I do. There's an Ontario law that says a client or whatever project you're working on has the right to hold back 10%. It's a 10% holdback. You put that in your contract if you want, or make the client aware. Securities on this is basically the same thing in a gigantic different way. You're talking millions of dollars instead of maybe $5,000 for a house or something. But the same ethos applies where there's a holdback and you have to do the work to get the rest of your money or get rid of the security one way or the other. So again, I think that's, if there's leverage, that's where it is.
Okay. Okay, so any more discussion on motion to defer? Okay, is anyone opposed to the motion to defer? So that would be carried. So next up is would be the bylaw for that. So is that automatically deferred, Lindsay, or do we need another motion? Okay, Barb,
I'll move.
okay, to defer 9.4.2. Jason, you'll second it? Okay, any discussion? Anyone opposed? Okay, that is carried. Next, 9.4.3, moved by Jason, seconded by Barbara, and that's the Dundalk Flyers Hockey Club donation report. Dave, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that report reflects the intent of the report's outcomes.
Okay, thank you. And I think, you know, that's a good example of, you know, the people that are still involved with the funds for the old Dundalk Flyers still want to have a legacy and involvement in the community. So any questions or comments? Okay, Barbara?
Sorry, Mayor Woodbury, is this the report that you declared a pecuniary interest on, or is it the other one?
No, it's the other one.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say that the Dundalk Flyers making this significant donation is wonderful. They've also spread the donations around the community, including the Youth Action Committee, in a slightly smaller way, but it's very much appreciated. And I look forward to there being that recognition at the new medical center.
Not seeing any more hands. I'll ask if anyone is opposed to this. And that is carried. And next we have moved by Brian, seconded by Jim, the bylaw to go with that. Any discussion? Okay, Lindsay, I'll let you do the vote.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-123, the donation agreement with the Dundalk Flyers Hockey Club and the Southeast Grey Community Health Center. Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Delbreen?
In favor.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. 9.4.5, White Rose Park Phase 3 Draft Pre-Servicing Agreement. Moved by Barbara, seconded by Michael. Anything on this one, Dave?
Yeah, this report is just to create awareness that we're bringing a report for September 21st and a bylaw to approve the pre-servicing agreement for White Rose Phase 3. So that's the one coming off Bradley Street and off Todd Crescent. And there's the report includes the pre-servicing agreement. And we have to finalize a few things in relation to approved securities by the engineers and so on. That'll be included in the next report.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Martin?
Thanks, John. Yeah, Dave, page 86 or page 7 of the report, it says the developer agrees to put the signs up, private property, no access, in the signage part. Would that include also, or perhaps later, the not assumed road signs? Is that part and parcel of that, or?
Well, it's whatever the standard signage is they put up. It's more the standard subdivision. That will come more at the subdivision phase. There'll be other signs go up as far as a design of the subdivision and so on. But these are the types of signs we want at this stage of the development.
Okay, that's fine. And just another one, if I may. Page 92, page 13 of the report, where it's signed, sealed, and delivered. I just noticed it was the former clerk's name there, so this is only a draft, but I just wondered about that too.
Thank you.
Yep.
This one come in kind of late, so thank you for that.
No worries.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, I'll call a question on this then. Anyone opposed? Okay, that is carried. Next, we have 9.4.7, and that is the White Rose Phase 3 final capacity servicing allocation, moved by Barbara and seconded by Martin. Anything on that, Dave?
No, that's just the next, I guess, the next step in the process of allocation.
Yep, okay. Barbara?
Through you to Dave. Dave, can you refresh my memory? At some point, White Rose committed to, in one of their phases, some bungalow town type senior friendly units, and not a great many of those. Is this the phase that they were proposing those for? Maybe Clinton has that in plan of subdivision.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I know they're anxiously awaiting those, so hopefully we can move on that.
Some of the problem is that there's anxiousness and then there's commitment, and they're doing their market research as to what their final design should be in relation to that. So others have done things and found that the commitments weren't there. So a lot of these subdivisions, before we go to subdivision agreement approval, they're 100% sold out, so that they know that they have commitments to buy these houses when they're constructed. Not always interest translates into commitments and signing checks and agreements.
Yeah, go ahead, Barb.
I totally get that, and the expectation of price points changed dramatically over the last 2 to 3 years, and perhaps we'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Brian?
Thank you, John. And the question is not directed directly to about phase 3, but I'm looking at the 2022 reserve capacity summary of Dundalk developments, and I see White Rose is the phase 3 is in the undeveloped or uncommitted development section at the bottom of that page. I also note that Dundalk commercial is allocated 24 units. Is that for in the downtown core commercial area, or is that including of Eco Park and the property that Flato just purchased from us?
Quinn, go ahead.
That would be including all of those parts right now. So that Eco Park and the out towards the Highway 10 there. Not so much the downtown stuff, because the downtown stuff is almost all done and has servicing already to it and is considered as an allocation. So.
Right. Okay. So there's ample capacity for the Eco Park specifically.
There's in the letter there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Dave? Yep,
so I do want to talk about that. So we have 182 units of capacity available for wastewater. We have lots for water. We deal with requests on a first come, first served basis. And these two, I'll talk about the next one and this one at the same time, came together, and obviously they wanted the capacity. So we worked with both developers and allocated it based on these reports. As soon as we go to tender, which is should be in the new year, we'll have our capacity availability back for wastewater. So as some of these other developments come online and request servicing capacity, we'll be ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question then. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. 9.4.8 moved by Jason, seconded by Brian, and that's the Flato East Phase 2 draft pre-servicing agreement. Yes, go
We
ahead.
skipped the bylaw. 0.4.7 is the bylaw for White Rose's capacity.
Ah, yep, you're right.
The list was very, it was long and there was a lot of repetition, so I can see why.
No, I'm pretty sure it's user error on my part. So, but thanks for trying to help out. Thanks for keeping me on track. So before we go to the Flato one, let's go to the bylaw for the White Rose final capacity, and that's moved by Barbara and seconded by Martin. Any discussion on the bylaw? Okay, Lindsay, I'm gonna just kind of be quiet for a minute and look at my list and let you do the vote.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-127, the White Rose Phase 3 final capacity servicing allocation. Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes, sorry, yep.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Councillor Dobreen?
In favor.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay. So as I was preparing you for, next is 9.4.8, the Flato East Phase 2 draft pre-servicing. Moved by Jason and seconded by Brian. Anything you wanted to add to that, Dave? You're on mute.
Pretty much similar to the last report for White Rose. This is again a pre-servicing agreement for Flato Phase 11. There is a little bit of a different twist to this one. In Flato Phase 11, there is a commercial component where there would be looking to site a McDonald's restaurant as the plan.
Okay. Thank you. That's it's been a while that coming out, so that's good. Any discussion? Michael?
So with us accepting these, does that take our allocation to 0 then? Because now the one that's in the 182 that we have left now will transfer over, that we'll be sitting with no wastewater?
That's correct. There'd be no wastewater capacity until we go to tender, and we're just a few months away from that. And then we would have our capacity back to allocate to these two developments because we're short on both developments, and that's reflected in the allocation agreements.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I will call, Barbara, go ahead.
Thank you. And to this, I did want to just comment, the composite drawing of the plan was really helpful when I got through the agenda because there's so many phases. And as you said, Dave, this is the only developer that has this complex number of phases. That was really helpful to pinpoint where phase 11 was. Who looks after the properties when they are for property standards, when they're not actively in the construction phase? Is that left to the property owner? So if you have properties that are, you know, the grass and the weeds and, you know, it's a future plan, they don't have capacity. Do the developers, is there a requirement to keep those trimmed and cut back?
Property standards always reflects back to the owner of the property, the legal owner of the property. So that's who we would deal with by bylaw enforcement.
So if residents had a complaint about a property that was getting overgrown, they would just submit the complaint to bylaw.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions relating to this pre-servicing agreement? Seeing none. Anyone opposed to this motion? That is carried. Next, 9.4.9, and this one isn't a bylaw. It is the reserve capacity servicing allocation report, moved by Michael, seconded by Martin. Anything you wanted to add to that, Dave?
No, not at this time.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, call the question then. Is anyone opposed? And that is carried. Next is a bylaw. So Lindsay, you're gonna have to get ready soon. Moved by Barbara, seconded by Martin. And that's the Flato East Phase 11 final capacity servicing allocation agreement. Any questions or comments on this bylaw? Okay. Seeing none, Lindsay, I'll let you go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-125, the Flato East Phase 11 final capacity servicing allocation. Councillor Dobreen,
In favor.
Councillor Shipson,
Yes.
Councillor Rice,
Yes.
Councillor Shearson,
Yes.
Councillor Frew,
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne.
Yay.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. The next one is one I've declared conflict on, and so I'll turn the chair to Brian, and I will remove myself from the meeting for temporarily.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the next report is dealing with the Dundalk Medical Center Building Design Report. It is report number CAO 2022-057. Dave, do you have any comments regarding that report?
Just that
Wait, Madam Clerk. Oh, yes, we need a mover and seconder. Sorry, right off the hop, we're wrong. Go ahead, Lindsay. I don't have the list of movers.
Councillor Frew and Councillor Dobreen.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Dave?
Yeah, so this report is just presenting building design concepts and looking for our support for that concept. You'll note that there appears to be windows to a second floor, and that's an option for the future. Whether they want to expand medical services, increase the floor space, or there's still an option. We talked about earlier about affordable housing, but this project, the timing with something like that is not really good at this point in time. So there is reserve capacity there for the future to expand if necessary. And we can have those housing discussions when we maybe get this South Grace Corporation set up, but that's really the extent of that report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from council? Martin, go ahead.
Thanks, Brian. This is just a comment on the aesthetics of the building. I like the fact that they're using white steel on white or pale color steel on the roof. That's going to reflect a lot of heat in the summer. I'm assuming the building is going to be greener than old buildings, like the library where it has its gray water. Just for the aesthetics, though, because it is close to downtown, it'd be just for the engineer or the architect. I mean, it'd be nice to see the old brick used instead of that big solid shoulders looking. So that's just a comment on the aesthetics, but just to tie it in with the downtown, which is old buildings and what have you, brick.
Okay,
Anyway,
thank you,
it
Martin.
looks good.
Yep, thanks, Martin. Anyone else? The only comment I would add from the chair is that I like the idea of the railroad theme I think a little more detail on the building regarding that rail seam would be good, because right off at first glance, it doesn't really strike you as a heritage railroad building. And to be honest, to me, it looks more like an indigenous longhouse, which in itself is not a troubling thought. But if we're going to go with the rail theme, I think a little more work on that needs to be done. That would be my only comment. Anyone else? Michael.
Yeah, David, you said the windows are for the second floor. Are we going to put the second floor in it right now and it's just going to sit empty? I mean, to renovate afterwards, I mean, that's just more cost. Again, it'd be cheaper to put the second floor in there now if you're going to put the windows up there.
Dave?
Yeah, so the idea is to make capacity for the building structure have a second floor. They will not be putting the second floor in place at this point in time. We've got a meeting with Southeast Gray and the Health Capital branch on Friday to talk about these things, but that's, you know, we're tied to a budget that the Ministry of Health is setting aside for this. So that's as far as the design and the construction could go. Really, the work would then be internal. It wouldn't be external structure. It'd be internal work to just finish out the floor space.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? Not seeing any opposition, I'll declare that carried. So I'll welcome Mr. Mayor back if he's online. There he is. So back to you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is 9.4.12, South Gray Housing Corporation Municipal Working Group, draft terms of reference, moved by Martin and seconded by Jason. Anything you'd like to add to this, Dave?
No, not at this time. I'll just take questions.
Okay. Are there any questions? Barbara.
Thank you, through you, and thank you, Dave, for responding to my questions. The one thing that I do recognize is that the ease or the more efficient means is to have one municipality looking after the administrative part of that, but on the other hand, it increases the workload of a department that's already stretched at this present time, at least, especially with the election. And I just want to make sure that whatever it lands out to be, that it's not a lot of chasing around to other municipalities. I agree with you, Dave. Sometimes you just need to have one municipality commit the resources, but to make sure those resources are available. If need be, we may need to consider a contract person to get us through to the end date, initially anyway. Just my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? All right, we'll call the question.
Maybe I'll just respond to that. I mean, if at best we get this thing kind of ratified in the next 30 days, there'll be nothing done till after the election. So it'll be in the, kind of that December, January before I think we start meeting. This commitment is for 1 year. And again, all these things are up for discussion. We may come to the table and say, we've offered this, but we think we should pass it around. This is just a very, very much a draft document for us to kind of play tennis with between now and the new term of council to get this thing started and offer it to the other municipalities for feedback.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Thank you, John. Dave, I presume this will be modeled after the Owen Sound Housing Corporation, because it sounds to me like it's a very similar type of setup. Potentially.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't have that answer because I think that's for the parties to determine and search out those kind of models. And I know there's a bit of a model in Blue Mountain but maybe Owen Sound is the best one. That's for this terms of reference in this committee to decide.
Okay. Well, I guess the intent of my question was that I hope the working group or the steering committee, if you want to call it that, I hope they're searching out those models and not trying to reinvent the wheel, because I think there are some very successful models across the province that could be drawn on for advice. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can also say that has been discussed. Like say, no sense reinventing the wheel, but we may put a couple of different spokes in it to suit. So yeah, no, good point. Anyone else? Okay, I'll call the question then. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. 9.4.13, moved by Barbara, seconded by Brian, and that's ETEL, the Southgate Hopeville fiber optic point of presence. Anything you wanted to add to that, Dave?
Just that this is kind of the third one. We started in Holstein, we went to Dundalk. While they were putting the Dundalk one up, they had a temporary tower there. The Dundalk one is now, I guess, working. And so the idea is this is an opportunity to put a site in place that brings fiber. It will bring fiber from the closest point, which I think now is out on in Drumore area, and that'll bring it across County Road 9 to Dundalk. And Hopeville will be kind of a stopping off place in the Hopeville Park to do that. That's where we have community land that will likely be there for many, many, many years in our possession, and give access to fiber in our community.
Okay, thank you. Brian.
Thank you, John. Dave, can you not convince Mr. Peters to send that wire across 22 instead of across 9? Please?
We'll see, but 9 seems to be the common path.
Okay, thank you.
What this project, or what the last project has done, is it's put fiber to a lot of the towers in the West End. So the tower at close to 23 and County Road 9 there up on a hill, it will have fiber to it here shortly.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Okay. Is anyone opposed to that motion? And that is carried. Next, we have 9.4.14, and that is the bylaw, moved by Michael, seconded by Martin. Any discussion on the bylaw? Okay, Lindsay, how would you like to do the vote?
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-128, the ATEL Networks point of presence site agreement for Hopeville. Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Councillor Shearston?
Yes.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Dobreen?
In favor.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. 9.4.15, and that's the ETEL temporary tower agreement approval, moved by Barbara, seconded by Jim. Anything on that, Dave?
Yeah, I just want to clear up anything that may be confusing, like we're referring to the Hopeville area. And in the agreement, we're referring specifically to this property, the municipal office, where this temporary tower may be sited. We're bringing this report to, help continue the service in the area. There is what I'll call a bit of tower politics going on. And there's a tower in the area that the property owner is asking to be removed, and but they're still working on trying to get an agreement to maintain the tower on that property. If not, this is a backup plan to make sure the residents in this area still have access to a ATEL service tower, which they provide to us as well. So it's of equal benefit to a lot of ways.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Barbara?
So that actually makes a little bit more understanding. So the property in Hopeville has changed I'm assuming that the property got sold and the agreement for the tower did not transfer with the property.
Okay, this is not to do with the tower in Hopeville. This is to do with the tower near the municipal office.
Okay.
The agreement is for 185-667 Gray Road 9, which is the Corporation Township of Southgate, this location.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Martin?
Thank you. Thanks, John. In the background, it says the Dundalk Tower is being decommissioned at this time to be located in the Hopeville area. What's replacing that? Is that going to be on the water tower or something for them?
Well, like I said earlier, the POP in Dundalk is now online.
Oh, okay.
So you either need to have a POP that proliferates fiber, or you need to have a tower that proliferates air communications.
Okay. Not seeing anything further. Call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Thank you. Next is the bylaw for that, and it is moved by Michael, seconded by Martin. That's 9.4.16. Any discussion on the bylaw? Okay, Lindsay, I'll get you to do the vote, please.
Thank you. For a recorded vote for bylaw 2022-134, the ATEL Networks Portable Tower Agreement. Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Dobrain?
In favor.
Councillor Shipson?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Thank you. Next is 9.4.17, and that's Southgate Meadows Flato East Phase 2B preliminary acceptance, moved by Barbara, seconded by Jim. Anything you want to add to that, Dave?
No, I think the report explains it fairly well.
Good, thank you. Let's see if there's any questions or comments. Okay, not see. Oh, Martin, go ahead.
I guess this question might be for Clinton. Looking at the plan, phase 11, there's the commercial block, and then there's the bigger block. So Clinton going to be on townhomes, work to live places that were kind of promised. Well, maybe not promised is the wrong word, but do you have any idea what they would be? Like block 326 to 323, or the other way around, 330, 327, right down in that phase 11 section.
Maybe I'll just draw us back to this report is to do with 2B, not any other parts of the subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My apologies.
Yep.
That will be a discussion for another day then. Okay,
Well,
sorry, Clinton.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's fine.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions or comments on that, on this? Okay, not seeing any. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Thanks, Dave. We'll move on to Clint's reports, 9.5.1, moved by Martin, seconded by Jason. And this is the zoning bylaw amendment for Victor Santos. Clint, anything you wanted to add to this?
No, I think the report speaks to all of the issues, and I'll let council ask questions if they have any.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Barbara and then Brian.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes up. My apologies. There are so many CAO reports. With the concerns, so through you, Mayor Woodbury, to Clinton, with the concerns regarding the interior side yard remaining a concern as outlined in your report, why is this being recommended if those concerns have not yet been resolved?
In my opinion, that they are resolved in the sense that, okay, so there was two ways that the developer could have done this. They could have built a single family or a two-story home, pardon me, and then a year later converted the second story to an accessory apartment, and they wouldn't need the interior side yard reduction at that time, because for a single family dwelling, the side yard reduction is 2 meters, the interior side yard. So he came in and we asked him to do it properly so that it gets recognized as a duplex dwelling. And for whatever reason, our bylaw says you have to have it a little bit larger. And so with that, he has to amend the bylaw. It would be no different if it was a single family dwelling with an accessory apartment versus having the two recognized right off the get-go. So in my opinion, this is a bit of a non-issue in the sense that it could still happen. It's just now we're actually being proactive and recognizing it in the bylaw first, rather than having them go through the accessory apartment route. Does that make sense?
Okay, Barb.
Thank you. Well, it makes more sense than indicating that the interior side yard is still a valid concern and requires further review. So what has to be further reviewed? Our zoning?
Okay, that was said at the beginning of my report, correct?
Well, it says under staff, it's the first line in your staff comments. Yeah.
Yeah. So the further review is through the policy analysis as I go through my report. Okay?
Thank you. That makes more sense.
Review it in the report, and then I make a recommendation on that.
Okay, thank you. So the further review occurred through the report. It's still outstanding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Correct.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you, John. Clint, I noticed in the proposal, it states at the end, there will also be a 3-car garage at the rear of the property. Is there going to be room in the side yard to get vehicles in the middle of January with snow and everything else to that backyard? And is that going to cause, if there's room in the backyard for a garage, why do they need the reduction in the setback from the front yard line? I guess is the essence of my question.
Okay. So there's two parts there. Certainly there is enough room on the side yard. It's over 4.5 meters, maybe even 5 meters, I believe, which is lots of room to get a driveway to the back of the property and still have the 1 meter on the side that's required as a separation. To be honest, the reduction in the front yard is actually appropriate to make it fit in with the existing development, because on either side, the houses are closer to the road because they're historical and they don't necessarily meet with the current provisions of the bylaw. So reducing that to 7 actually brings the building closer in line with the buildings on either side. So that's why that's more appropriate, and it does benefit the developer, no question, but it is more appropriate, in my opinion, to do that. Even if there was no garage there at all, it brings the building line more in line with one another. So that's how I look at that anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Not seeing any others here. So I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? That is carried. And now we have the bylaw moved by Michael and seconded by Barbara. And that is for Victor Santos's property that we just discussed. Any discussion on the bylaw? And I'll turn that over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-129, zoning bylaw amendment for Victor Santos. Councillor Shipston,
Yes.
Councillor Rice,
Yes. Yes.
Councillor Dobreen,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Milne,
Yay.
Councillor Shearson,
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury,
Yes.
Councillor Frew.
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Next, moved by Brian and seconded by Jason, is the 9.5.3 Gray Ridge Metals. Anything on this one, Clint?
Just one note, in the bylaw, the wrong schedule was inadvertently attached to the bylaw. So either Lindsay or Holly will update the bylaw with the minutes when it gets published after the meeting. Because it's obviously not Wilder Lake. That's the correct bylaw there. And as you guys know, it's directly beside the township office. And it's located, as you can see on the screen. There was a comment at the public meeting from the neighbor to the south, asking a bunch of questions and more explanation about it. And there was a big concern on whether it was going to be a sawmill. And I'm 100% positive it's not a sawmill. And the owner has stated that as well. So the bylaw has been crafted that way. So if there's any questions, I will take questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Barbara?
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. So the entrance to this property now, I mean, there's one entrance and then there's the commercial entrance. And I have to trust that the County of Grey has indicated there's sufficient sight lines, but we all know that pulling out of the township parking lot with that hill in that area, is it, I'm just concerned that with the increased amount of truck traffic that we've experienced with them bringing in all the fill, but also of future, it's a county road, but I have concerns about the entrance and the amount of truck traffic that's going to be coming in and out of that and the safety of travelers along County Road 9.
Okay. Through the chair.
Yep, go ahead.
I can say from a perspective of people pulling in and out of the municipal office, it's actually like with trucks turning in and out of there, it's actually likely to be a little bit safer in the sense that there'll be no trucks speeding there coming in and out because a truck can't get up to speed that fast, plain and simple. So the traffic will be moving slower if it's a truck. I'm always worried about the other speeders on the road. But as you point out, it's a county road, and they are the ones who have deemed the entrance appropriate. They issue the permit for the entrance, and that's about the most say we have in that respect in terms of entrances. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. I actually think with truck traffic, it'll be slower and easier to navigate there. It might not be for the speed demons that go up and down County Road 9, but that's a different issue again.
Thank you.
Okay. And just to add to that, that was expanded use of an existing entrance that's been there for ever, I think, because that was the driveway in towards the barnyard and that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, not seeing any. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? That is carried. 9.5.4 is the bylaw, moved by Michael, seconded by Barbara. Any comments on the bylaw? Okay, Lindsay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote for bylaw 2022-131, zoning bylaw amendment for Gray Ridge Metals as amended with the updated schedule. Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Dobreen?
In favor?
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. We now have moved by Jason, seconded by Jim, the Wilder Lake subdivision, and Brian is leaving, I think. Yes, thank you, Brian. And that was due to previously declared conflict. Anything you want to add to this one, Clint?
Just that the condition has been met. A subdivision agreement is been entered into, and that is the condition for the removal of the hold. We have done it in phases. So the first phase is being removed right now, and the hold will remain on the second phase until they get to that point. This would be the same sort of thing that would happen in White Rose with respect to their allocation and that sort of thing. So we would do it in phases like that. So other than that, I think it's ready to go, and that's why I'm recommending it be approved.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions time? Okay, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to this motion? Seeing none, that is carried. And now we have moved by Michael, seconded by Martin, the bylaw to go with that. And different from others we saw today, this is phase 1 instead of double digits. So, Barbara.
I just thought I would mention that there was an advertisement in the Hanover Post to register absolute title for the property as well as a neighboring easement. So they're moving forward in, fulfilling those obligations.
Okay. Any other comment or questions? All right, go ahead, Lindsay.
Sorry. Through Mayor Woodbury, recorded vote for bylaw 2022-133, the Wilder Lake subdivision removal of hold. Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne has declared an interest. Councillor Frew,
Yes.
Councillor Dobreen,
In favor.
Councillor Shearston.
Yes.
By a vote of 6-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. And Brian, if you're monitoring there, come on back. There you are. Okay, next is the no bylaws and motions for that. Did you receive any notices of motions? No. Okay. And I don't see anyone jumping up and down with wanting to put one in right now. Oh, Barb, go ahead.
I just want to mention, Mayor Woodbury, that I may bring a notice of motion to the next meeting with regard to the council remuneration policy
Okay.
and an oversight that that has been brought, or I've noticed.
Okay. Seeing no others, we can move on to the consent items, and this is the regular business. Moved by Jason, seconded by Barb, and I didn't get notification of any of them being pulled. So any comments on any of these? Barbara?
I actually have a number of comments, Mayor Woodbury. The first one is to the AMO report by CAO. I just want to thank Dave for the outline and the update on the reports and the workshops and the meetings that he attended. It's, you know, getting this look at a conference that not everyone attends is really of value in the sharing of information. And I just hope that the next term of council will be encouraged to submit wholesome reports when they attend conferences on the township dime as well, and in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And just one thing before you go on, I just wanted to welcome our new employees, the new full-time ones that Jim has, Tia and Bill. So welcome, and part of the full-time team now. You had more, Barbara?
I did actually. I just checked those off my list, and Brianna Francis as well, who had already been an employee and has moved up into the finance department. The other things that I just wanted to touch on is the new CAO transition plan. I noticed that there aren't any milestones like the first 30 days, and maybe I just missed it. It is certainly a very in-depth transition plan, and there's a lot for the new CAO to get familiar with. I would like to see perhaps some this is going to happen in the first 30 days or next 45 days, 60 days. The WSIB Excellence Program, way to go. That is fantastic and a great initiative that enhances our own health and safety while providing financial support for future workshops. So kudos to our staff, Kayla, for setting that initiative in motion. Thank you.
Okay. Brian?
Thank you, John. And my question was directed to Jim Ellis's department report regarding item number 4. The excavator, the Volvo excavator, apparently suffered significant damage from fire. I'm wondering, Jim, what the plan is going forward. I presume that's the excavator that was being used for the brushing out on the sides of the roads, and I'm a big proponent of that program. It's been well received, and I wouldn't want to see it get stalled for lack of a machine.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
So I just was contacted this morning by the insurance investigator teams, and we're looking into that. He indicated that we would be looking for a replacement used equipment, more than likely, as opposed to putting more budget. There's only so much value of the machine of something like for like that was lost. So that is what we're researching, giving them information, and they're bringing their teams in for the investigation now.
Very good. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Barbara?
Through you to Jim, forgive me. When it was the actual brusher that caught fire, correct? And not the excavator, or is it all part and parcel?
Go ahead, Jim.
No, it was the excavator itself. The fire originated somewhere in the back of the motor, the muffler area, whether a hydraulic line dripped as well onto some material and started. It was a hot day, it was a windy day, but the brusher head was salvaged, no damage to it. It had to be removed before we could load it on the float. So that took some rigging and jimmying to make that happen. But again, the rotator tow truck that came, phenomenal the way they can operate those machines and the capabilities of them. But anyhow, the brusher head has been salvaged. It's no damage to it as far as the fire.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
And I think the best part of this whole story is no one was injured. So that's good. We'll go through the process for the machinery. Any other questions or comments on this portion? All right, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to the motion? And that is carried. Next is 12.2, moved by Michael, seconded by Martin, and that's the correspondence consent. And again, I don't have anything pulled for this, so is there any comments on this section? Barbara?
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. A lot of good information. I still have not been able to access the OCA annual report. It needs a login and password, which doesn't seem to be working, at least at my end. So I'm wondering if the report could be downloaded in some way and shared. With regard to 12.2.5, the Ombudsman report, I just want to indicate that they have included on page 33 of the report, the Ombudsman recommends that both open and closed meetings be recorded and commended the municipality of Grey Highlands on starting that best practice. And I hope that the next term of council will revisit that part of the procedure bylaw so that we can get back to being the ones that initiated that in the first place. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then I'll call the question. Anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. Now we have resolutions from other municipalities, and that is moved by Jim, seconded by Brian. Again, I had nothing pulled from here. Any comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Okay, I see none, so that is carried. And we have no closed session consent items. The county report, there hasn't been a county meeting since between our last council meeting and this, so there's nothing new to report there. And I'm going to suggest we do members' privilege, and then we'll take a 10-minute break while we go into closed. Okay, so bear with me for another little bit and we'll go from there. Michael, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just the Dundalk Fall Fair. Dundalk Ag Society is hosting their event Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're still looking. There's still time for any contestants that want to participate in the junior and senior ambassador program. So if you know anybody, or if you can get the feeler out there, they're still looking for some volunteers to step up and learn about agriculture in the community.
Okay, thank you. Any other good news and celebrations? Barbara?
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the fair. Since we don't meet again until September 21st, I just wanted to mention also that the Seniors Health Fair is being held at the arena on September 21st, and it's indicating that every indication is that it's going to be huge. Over 40 booths, and they're anticipating record number of people in attendance. So looking forward to that as well and supporting it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And any other good news and celebration? Okay. So I'll call the question on this motion. Well, there isn't one here. This is members' privilege, so I won't call a question about anything right now. See, I saved you from telling me that time, Lindsay. So if there's no more, what we will do is we'll do the motion to go into closed, and then we will take a break for before we go in there. So I do have a motion moved by Martin, seconded by Barbara, that we go into closed. Be it resolved that council proceed into closed session at 10:32 in order to address matters of litigation or potential litigation. That's Municipal Act Section 239 2E. Subject building assessment report as a verbal report. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege and litigation or potential litigation, and that's Municipal Act Section 239 2F and E. And the subject is legal update regarding property easement dispute and legal action on a council decision, and that's a verbal report. And matters about an identifiable individual, Municipal Act Section 239 2B, that's employee policy non-compliance, and that's a verbal update. And the facilities manager, Kevin Green, treasurer, William Gott, public works manager, Jim Ellis, chief building official, Bev Fisher, HR coordinator, Kayla Best, clerk, Lindsay Green, and CAO, Dave Milner, remain in attendance. Any discussion on that motion? Barbara?
Just a quick question. Are all those attendees for the entire meeting or just as required?
Lindsay?
Yeah, so some will be leaving after certain sections of the closed meeting, and that'll be noted in the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, not seeing anything else. Anyone opposed to this motion? And that is carried. And so I'll call a recess then until 11:15, and I'll see everybody on the other side. Okay, thank you.
That felt good.
We hadn't started recording yet. You're all right.
Wasn't me, but it still felt good.
Okay. We've got all of council back, so I'll call the meeting back to order. And Lindsay, if you, I'll just say that we only discussed items that we said we were going to. And Lindsay, if you could read the first motion, and then I'll get movers and seconders, please.
Sure, Mayor Woodbury. Just noting here. So our first item, the motion coming out of closed was be it resolved that council received the verbal report regarding litigation or potential litigation related to a building assessment report as information, and that council direct staff to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Martin and Jason. Okay, and then I'll call the vote on that unless there's discussion on wording of the motion. Okay, is anyone opposed to that? That is carried, so thank you. And we could do the next one then, Lindsay, please.
Sure, Mayor Woodbury. So the second item, motion coming out of close, is be it resolved that council receive the verbal report regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege and litigation or potential litigation related to a legal update regarding a property easement dispute and legal action on a council decision as information.
Okay, thank you. Movers and seconders, Brian and Michael. Any discussion on that? Okay, is anyone opposed? Then that is carried. And we have one more.
Yeah, our last one, Mayor Woodbury, last item enclosed was be it resolved that council received the verbal update regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual related to an employee policy non-compliance as information.
Okay, thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Jim and Jason. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, is anyone opposed? And that is carried. So thank you for all of that. Confirming bylaw is moved by Barbara and seconded by Martin. Any discussion on the confirming bylaw? Then I will turn it over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor Woodbury. Recorded vote called for the confirming bylaw. Deputy Mayor Milne?
Yay.
Councillor Frew?
Yes.
Councillor Rice?
Yes.
Councillor Shipston?
Yes.
Councillor DeBreen?
In favor.
Councillor Shearson?
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury?
Yes.
By a vote of 7-0, that's carried.
Okay, thank you. And we have adjournment at 11:37, moved by Brian. So unless anybody really objects to us not going past noon, you know, I think we'll call it adjourned. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you at the fall fair.
See you at the
Except
fair.
Well done.
Except
Well
for
done,
Brian, I'll
Chairman.
see him.